So today's video is all on learning styles. There are three main learning styles, or ways that we best learn. So there's visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners. Everyone has their preference towards one, but we're all capable of every one of the learning styles. While it is a good idea to practice the lesser styles to develop them, it's also great to make the most of the ones that they are most efficient in, so that they can make the most of their learning. Very generally speaking, boys tend to be more kinesthetic and visual, whereas girls tend to be more visual and auditory. As I said, that's a big generalisation, but at the end of the day, kids have a preference towards whichever style suits them and their personality. So here are some ways that you can make the most of the learning styles at home, in their homework, and just in their daily lives. Let's get into it. So first up, there are visual learners. So these learners prefer to see the work on the board or to read the instructions themselves. If your kids are this type of learner, try to incorporate lists that they can read, tie in a lot of colour and size differentiation in their work. For example, when there's a spelling pattern that they're struggling with, get them to make it stand out, the part of the word that they can't quite grasp. Make it bright, make it colourful, and really get it standing out. Get them to take a photo in their head, so when they're in their test, they can close their eyes and they can visualise it. And then they can also do that in their work, not just in the test. So next up, we've got auditory learners. These people like to hear the instructions. They like to work with music, and they like sound-based learning methods. So if your child prefers this type of learning, recorded to-do lists could be the thing to do. The act of saying the to-do list will help them to hear it, obviously, and to remember it. If we go back to our spelling example, verbal spelling tests will help. Practicing using syllables and clapping will help. Using different tones and voices when they get to that tough sound pattern will help to trigger their memory. Alright, so as long as it all just needs to be sound-based, if you can help it. And lastly, we've got kinesthetic learners. These kids enjoy hands-on learning. They want to use their hands to remember things. So try and tie in a lot of movement, building things, a lot of different textures that they can feel that'll aid them in learning those concepts. If I go to that spelling example, using Lego to make words, kinetic sand that they can feel, Play-Doh again that they can manipulate, will all help to trigger their memory. Skipping is a good one, and saying the letters or the syllables as they do each pass. They're all great ways to support a kinesthetic learner. Another great one is to write letters on your kids' backs with your finger, and they have to really try and feel the letter that you're writing. If it's the sound that they're struggling with, then apply a different amount of pressure, so that again, when they get to that test or they need to spell it, they can picture it, they can feel it on their body. They're all really great ways to support a hands-on learning. Now, most learners are actually a mixture of these styles. They're not just one of them. So it's as easy as trying to blend these ideas together. So for example, if you're a kinesthetic and a visual learner, then you can make the words out of Play-Doh or kinetic sand and use different colours when you focus on that sound pattern and make the letters bigger than the rest of them. So yeah, it's just trying to mix and match the things that we just went through and finding what works for your kid, basically.